Make sure they're not going to turn well halfway through. I'll be there this week. So that's
Get a good recording of it.
Okay, it is 10 o'clock and we will call to order the administrative meeting for September 22nd, 2022. As you all could be here today. Got a full agenda. We'll try to run through it as quickly as we can, but got several things to interest folks. The only announcement I have, I want everyone to be aware, our commission meeting in 2 weeks, the first one in October, is scheduled for October 10th. That is Columbus Day, so offices will be closed, state offices, county offices, and probably federal offices too. But anyway, we won't meet that day. We will meet on the 11th, which is a Tuesday. So just want everybody to attend these meetings to be aware of that and put on your calendar that we will meet on October 11th instead of the 10th because of Columbus Day. Other announcements from anyone? Yes, sir.
One, Mr. Chairman, it looks like the sample ballots are out. I picked up mine, this one downstairs. I encourage you to do so as well. And of course, they're also online, so that'll let you come up.
Do you have any surprise opposition?
Let me check.
Oh, okay, good. Good.
Anyway, I'll get you set right.
All right, any other announcements? All right, we have no presentation, so we'll move right into the regular agenda for you all to consider adding to Monday. The first item is a request to approve the 2022 Emergency Management Preparedness Grant and the accompanying budget amendment. Chris could not be here today, but I think this is a normal and customary grant that we approved. This in the amount of $2,300, I think. The receipt and expenditure of that grant. Any questions for any questions for Peter? Any objections to adding that to the agenda?
No objection.
Item number 2 is request to award bid for janitorial service to lowest bidder meeting specs. Don, where are you?
Sit there to hide.
I know, I can't see when you sit there on the other side of that.
Yeah. This is our customary bid that goes out every 3 years. 11 buildings. Some are for the supplies the equipment and the labor to clean those 11 buildings. So,
Is the flow meter the one we have been using or something?
yeah,
It
it's the
is.
same one.
Any questions?
No,
Oh, okay.
that's my question. I just have one question.
Yes, sir.
I like to keep track of, what's what and how much everything's going up, so we don't have, because we have last year's previous contract price. Are you aware how much it went up? I'm assuming.
No, it did go up, but I didn't track how much it went up. I do know that we're in our budget range, so it didn't go up enough
Over what?
to throw it out. Yeah, I did check that part.
That was the only question.
Any other questions or comments? Objections to adding that to the agenda? All right, item number 3 is a request for 010 Lounge Retail Liquor Class 1 license at JCBC Good Times, doing business as Horizon Bar and Grill, located at 14634 West US Highway 84, Newton, Alabama, 36352. You all know Newton, Alabama is code for Wicksburg. This has, you have the request in your package. I think on Monday, as we always do, we will ask if there are any objections to this item, and either vote it up or down. And process is the sheriff does their research and determination, and then it comes to us. We will put it on the agenda, and at that time, I will ask if anyone objects to the issuance of this license and hear any objections, and then make a determination at that time. Any comments about this?
I have a couple of
Yes,
comments.
sir.
Just, thank you, Mr. Chairman, just to express some concerns that I have about this license. I know that this is the old establishment, I guess, we'll call that in Wicksburg, and I think it's the same people that's reopening it with a different name. And, they have a lot of violence and criminal problems, criminal activity out there. So I've got some concerns, and I guess walk me through that process. I know we have some people here today that may want to address this. I don't want to do that today, but if we wanted to not put this on the agenda, if I want to make that request and not put this on the agenda.
Well, I think, again, I think once the license is requested, I think it would be incumbent on us to either approve or not approve. So somebody that knows better than me can tell me that. So if we did not want to do this, I think rather than, I guess, ignoring our responsibility, I think we should put it on the agenda and deny it. Then that gives them the opportunity to take whatever steps they would want to. And like I say, if we put it on the agenda Monday, we will give opportunity for anyone that has any objections to, I think our regulations allow 3 people to come up on the same side of an issue. We'd allow, a maximum of 3 people to come up and express objection if there are people that want to express their objection. But I think the process would be that we put it on the agenda and then either vote it down or approve it. And then it can go forward or go away from us anyway at that time. Yes. Okay. Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I got
sir.
some also.
Okay.
I see down here it says the person that contacted is Mike Kent. Is Mr. Kent here today?
No.
Not here today. And this is the same establishment, I take it, because Mr. Kent, I believe, was involved in the Teasers facility, which is the gentleman's club that was there in Wicksburg. So I would also agree with Mr. Sheedy that, I'd like Mr. Kent to be present so I can ask a few questions about the establishment and what's going on there at that establishment.
Okay. I have no way of getting in touch with Mr. Kent, but we'll see if we can figure it out. We'll get up with Mr. Kent some way. And the sheriff's department has a contact information. All right, any objections to adding this to the agenda? Anybody want to make any comments while we're talking, we'll ask for those on that. Yep, thank you. All right, item number 4 is a request to adopt a resolution and approve agreement for the Brownfield tax abatement project amendment 1 for Dothan 193 South Andrews LLC. Mr. Parker is coming to the podium to tell us about this and the next item.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman and
Becoming a
Commissioner.
regular, commission meeting, by the way.
I know, man, it's getting fun. Glad that Colton Puritan with our team is here as well, but what we have before you is a request to amend the tax abatement agreement that you guys approved back in May of 2021. Due to the increasing cost of construction, that project at the time that the county approved their abatement on this, it was 4.7. It's shot up to 6.2 million. So that is the amendment that we have to change to keep in conformance with the tax abatement law. So that is the request, and that thing's moving on. One other change, we did extend the completion date till April 2023. Their original goal was the end of December of 2022, but want to make sure that we got all that completion time covered, because we'd have to go amend that again as well. So that's the request.
All right. Say to Sean or Bruce, when did you get that microphone fixed before we ever meet in this room again? I know we had the same problem 2 weeks ago. That's making all that noise. I don't know who that falls under, but I know it doesn't fall under me. Can we get that fixed before Monday, please? Good? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, any questions for Mr. Parker? Y'all know this is the project on South St. Andrews that's apartments, not upscale apartments. It's not to use, it's mine. I don't know. It's a great project we're excited about for downtown. So, and like you said, we have approved this in the past. This is just, again, like you said, just an amendment because of the cost. Questions? Objection to adding this to the agenda. All right, item number 5 is request to adopt a resolution and approve agreement for the Brownfield tax abatement project amendment 1 for Ram Dothan Hospitality.
Yes, sir. Same situation. The commission approved the original agreement back in June of 2021. And again, at that time, it was a $12.6 million project. And now that has shot up to $14.2 million. So we are amending, increasing the amount to the construction cost, and have to amend this agreement as well. That project's still on course to be completed and constructed by March 2024. So they're anxious to do that. That's going to be a great addition to that area, and a great project for the community. Add about another 26 to 30 jobs as a result of that. So thank you guys for your work. Again, we will also have to do this, the amendments with the city of Dothan as well. Because with the Brownfield Act, each jurisdiction has to approve their part. So we appreciate your consideration, and thank you guys for your continued support on everything you guys do.
All right. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Exactly what will that be once it's?
Yes, sir. That'll actually be the Candlewood Suites new hotel, 104 unit facility that will be constructed there. As you once knew it as the former BP station. So that whole area will be under construction, and a nice addition to the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any objections to adding this to the agenda? Okay. Item number 6 is a request to adopt a resolution regarding special tax for public hospital purposes as petitioned by the Houston County Health Care Authority. I want to, if you all would allow me, as whoever's going to speak on behalf of the Healthcare Authority, I want to, because of the significance of this, I know this resolution is a little long, but I'd like to read it if that's okay, if you all wouldn't mind, just because it's got a lot of good information in it. Is that all right with you? Yes. I'll try to read it loud enough so that everybody can hear it. It states, resolution of the county commission regarding special tax for public hospital purposes. Whereas the citizens of Houston County pursuant to Amendment 72 of the Alabama Constitution of 1901 by an election duly called and held on July 19, 1949, authorized the levy of the special tax for public hospital purposes at the rate of 4 mills. Accordingly, the Houston County Commission levied the special tax at said rate and designated the Houston County Hospital Board, now known as the Houston County Health Care Authority, as the agency to receive the special tax proceeds. And whereas Amendment 76 to the Constitution of Alabama provides that if a majority of the qualified voters of Houston County who participate in an election held therein pursuant to the provisions of any amendment to the Constitution heretofore adopted shall vote at such election in favor of the levy and collection of a special county tax within the limitations provided in such amendment for any one or more of the purposes included within the meaning of the term public hospital purposes, the proceeds derived from the tax authorized at such election shall be applied for any one or more of the purposes for which tax was so voted. And whereas Amendment 76 specifically defines public hospital purposes to include the acquisition by purchase, lease, or otherwise, and the construction, equipment, operation, and maintenance of public hospital facilities. And whereas Amendment 76 specifically defines public hospital facilities to include public hospitals, public clinics, public health centers, nursing homes, and training facilities, and related public health facilities of any kind. Whereas pursuant to Amendment 76 of the Alabama Constitution of 1901, the Commission passed a resolution establishing and designating a public corporation known as the Houston County Hospital Board that was to act as the agency of the county to acquire, construct, equip, operate, and maintain public hospital facilities for hospital purposes in Houston County. Whereas in 1982, the Alabama legislature, in order to promote the public health of the people of the state, passed the Health Care Authority Act of 1982 with the stated legislative intent to authorize and permit existing public hospital corporations to reincorporate and to invest each public corporation so organized and reincorporated hereunder with all powers that may be necessary to enable it to accomplish its corporate purposes, and shall be liberally construed in conformity with said intent. And whereas pursuant to and in accordance with the act, the Houston County Hospital Board, owner before June 27, 1988, was reincorporated as the Houston County Health Care Authority. Whereas after many years of collecting the special tax at the rate of 4 mills, the Health Care Authority in the early 1980s determined that the rate thereof could be reduced temporarily to 1 mill without adversely affecting the efficient operation of the health care facilities in the county. Accordingly, the rate of the special tax was temporarily reduced to 1 mill, subject to future adjustment at the needs of the Health Care Authority required. Whereas on May 9th, 2011, the Commission passed Resolution 11-03 based upon a resolution adopted by the Health Care Authority and presented said resolution to the Commission, which resumed the collection of an additional 1.5 mills of the special tax for the purpose of the delivery of health care to the citizens of the county and region. And whereas the Health Care Authority has now adopted a position to resume the collection of an additional 1.5 mills of the special tax for the purposes of the delivery of quality health care to the citizens of the county and the region. And whereas the Supreme Court of Alabama, in opinion of the Justices 41 and some numbers, held that the constitutional amendment provided for the levy of a special county tax for public hospital purposes is mandatory in respect to levying the tax when authorized by the electorate of the county. The language of the amendment being, if the tax is authorized by a vote of the majority of the qualified electors of the county who participate in any election called for that purpose, the governing body of every county except Mobile, Montgomery, and Jefferson counties must levy and collect, in addition to all other taxes authorized by law, a special county tax not exceeding 4 mills on each dollar of taxable property in the county. And whereas the Healthcare Authority has requested that this commission levy the additional 1.5 mils of the special tax to commence in the tax year ending September 30th, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved by the Houston County Commission as follows. Section 1. The County Commission does hereby acknowledge the Healthcare Authority's instruction to the County Commission to resume collection of an additional 1.5 mils of the special tax. Accordingly, the special tax is hereby levied at the overall rate of 4 mils commencing in the tax year ending September 30th, 2024. Section 2, the County Commission acknowledges, ratifies, and confirms that pursuant to Amendment 76, the Healthcare Authority has been and continues to be the designated agency of Houston County to acquire, construct, equip, operate, and maintain public hospital facilities within Houston County, Alabama. The above and foregoing resolution, if adopted, would be Monday and signed by the chairman. I read that lengthy resolution not to bore you all to death, but because it states the history pretty well of how we got to today. And anytime you start talking about taxes and fees and all that, people get nervous. But I want everyone to understand that we are not here today to raise the rate of taxes. We are here today to resume the collection of consider putting on the agenda to resume the collection of a millage that is already on the books, has been on the books for many, many years at the request of the Houston County Healthcare Authority. This was passed, as I said, in 1949 and used, and now it's being passed to be collected. Yes, I would refer to you at this point to make any comments you would like as it relates to this. It's pretty clear in there that to me this is no different than we're approached every year with other levies that are set passed by the citizens on the books. I believe we have any choice but to approve this, and it is our duty to do so. So I will turn that over to you.
Well, I could not have said it any better than what you just said, but I'll try a little bit. So I'm William Nichols, gentlemen.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm board counsel for the Houston County Healthcare Authority. My role today is to answer any questions you have and to set out the legal aspects of our request for the additional millage. Chairman Culver is right. I mean, this begins really back in the 40s when Alabama amended its constitution to allow for its citizens of almost every county, not everyone, but almost every county, to hold an election and decide whether it wanted its county to levy and collect up to 4 mils of tax for the purpose of constructing, operating, and maintaining a public hospital. And almost immediately, the Supreme Court was called upon to interpret that constitutional amendment. And in 72 and 76, and you set them out quite well, Chairman Culver, in the resolution. But you're right. Amendment 72 says that once the tax is authorized by the citizens of the county, which Houston County did back in the 40s, then the county must, and that's their word, not mine, they must levy and execute that tax. And Amendment 76 goes on to say that once a public corporation has been created for the purpose of owning and operating that hospital, in this case, the Healthcare Authority, then the county shall, that's their word, shall pay over to that hospital those funds levied and collected. Now, for 70 plus years, to my knowledge, this county has never once refused to levy and collect the tax when it's been requested. As you said, initially it was 4 mil when the hospital was quite young. And at some point they decided we don't need all 4 mils, and they reduced it to 1, and the county agreed and they collected 1 mil. Now I defy you to find another governmental entity that ever said, no thanks, we don't need all the money we're entitled to. But the authority did that, and for many years. And then in 2011, about 10 years ago, the authority asked for the millage to increase, as you said, an additional 1.5 mil to help with the College of Osteopathic Medicine. And this commission adopted a resolution that is almost verbatim the petition that we filed. It set out the law quite precisely. And it says exactly what Mr. Colbert just said, that once the citizens of this county say so, then the county has no choice. It is mandatory, not discretionary, to levy and collect that tax and pay that tax over to the healthcare authority. And I'll say this, the decision was not made lightly by our board. And I've got Derek Miller here. He is our CFO, our Chief Financial Officer, and he will help answer any questions, explain the financial need that led us to where we are today. But I'll tell you that each of the board members that this commission appointed to the healthcare authority to oversee the running of this hospital voted unanimously to request this additional millage. And I would urge you to defer to their good judgment on the matter, because they have seen the numbers, they have listened to the presentations, and they have made a thoughtful decision that this is in the best interest and absolutely needed by our hospital. And I'm going to tell you why briefly, because Derek is going to tell you the numbers. But our petition suggested 3 reasons for why we need this additional millage. One is the skyrocketing cost of contract labor. The second is the federal government's recent reduction of our reimbursement rate for our part of the world, okay? And then the third is inflationary costs that every citizen and business in this county and this country has to deal with right now. And what do I mean by contract labor? I presume that all of you are aware that prior to the pandemic, there was a tremendous nursing shortage. We're talking a shortage of hundreds of thousands of nurses, which required that hospitals like ours, like Flowers, like every other hospital in this country, were forced to use contract nurses to backfill and staff their hospitals. And that comes at a tremendous cost, much more than a regularly employed staff nurse in a hospital. But pre-pandemic, the rates were much lower and the number of contract nurses we had to hire was much lower. Pandemic starts and nurses are leaving. Our hospital is busting at the seams with very acutely ill patients. And this is a nationwide issue. And so nurses begin to leave and they become contract nurses and they go out into other hospitals and they get paid a lot more to staff those hospitals. And so our facility was looking at, number one, a lot more contract nurses. And 2, because every other hospital in the country needed the same nurses, the cost went up exponentially. You're paying 2-3 times what you would pay a regular contract nurse pre-pandemic, okay? And that results in millions of dollars extra paid by our hospital, other hospitals, just to keep the facility staffed so that we can take care of patients. And that is not something you budget for pre-pandemic. Now, let me say this. We also have an issue of reimbursement that runs and happens simultaneously with our exponential increase in contract labor. As I'm sure you know, the federal government pays us a rate that's dictated by a formula. It's what they pay for a job market in your area. And what they pay for our hospital in our part of the world is exponentially less than what they pay for hospitals in Atlanta or New York or the West Coast. And so for the same exact procedure, for the same exact service that we offer at our hospital, we are paid exponentially less than what another hospital gets paid by the federal government. Now, the problem is that during the pandemic, the federal government, in its infinite wisdom, decided that it was going to reduce our reimbursement rate even further than it was, not just for our hospital, but for our whole region. So not only are we paying millions and millions more to staff our hospital with nurses, we're being paid less from the federal government to do so. And finally, inflation, you all know about it. Everything has gone up 3-4-fold. Not only food that we feed our patients, but medicines that we buy, equipment that we need to treat them is gone through the roof. And so all of those things, that perfect storm has created a financial headwind for our hospital. And we believe, respectfully believe, that it would be economically irresponsible not to collect additional millage that is constitutionally required for our hospital. And I know that you guys receive from our hospital regularly emails talking about the state of healthcare in the country generally. In preparation for today, I just looked at a few of them because I want you to understand this problem is not unique to our hospital. This is a nationwide problem. And Becker's is a publication that most hospitals look at. And it says, in 2022 would be the most difficult year for every hospital and health system. 2/3 of all hospital systems expect to operate in the red in 2022. And that's due to increase in expenses of $135 billion. That's just over last year. And that's mostly due to the increase in contract labor, these nurses that we're talking about. You would have read from our hospital articles talking about how in the near future, over 800 hospitals across the country are expected to close because they can't afford to operate any longer because of those 3 reasons that are facing our hospital. In fact, 600 of those hospitals are rural hospitals, just like ours. 30 hospitals in Alabama alone are expected to close because of these issues, okay? You may have seen that one of the hospitals in Atlanta just closed. And the other hospital in Atlanta just requested and received from their commission $11 million to shore up its finances. East Alabama Medical Center, you've probably seen it over in Lee County. They just requested and got from their county commission $6 million because they were looking at a $36.5 million shortfall because of these issues, principally being contract labor. Flowers Hospital, which is owned by CMS, their company, and they're a for-profit hospital, their company in the first, or rather second quarter of this year, lost over $326 million. $326 million due to contract labor costs. And Mr. Stokes wrote an article recently about Mizell Memorial Hospital over in Austin. They get 1 cent from their city to help financially support that hospital, and it was cut in half. And they are looking at the possibility of closing because they can't afford to run. So these are issues facing every hospital. They're certainly facing ours, and we're trying to get out in front of it to make sure that it is financially stable so that we can treat citizens of this county. Now, at the last commission meeting, I think you guys voted to increase the garbage collection fee. And I was looking at some articles about that. And Mr. Culver said, you know, the increase is due to rising costs of operation, such as fuel prices, the price of sanitation trucks. I think he said one truck costs $250,000 more than it otherwise would have. All I'm asking, and I think we can all agree in this room, that helping ensure the financial stability of the only county hospital is at least as important as affordably collecting the garbage for the citizens of this town. So with that, I'm gonna sit down unless you have any questions, and I'm gonna let Derek talk about the money if you want to hear from him on that matter. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Eric, I'm sorry about the noise. Microphone.
That's quite okay. The technology bugs, you're not the only person that has issues with hospitals. Just thank you, gentlemen, for letting me address you this morning. I'm Derek Miller. I'm the Chief Financial Officer. I think I've met most of you, over the years in the community. Thank you for taking time to consider this request. William did an outstanding job of putting the perspective out there. So those are the things that our board of the authority is hearing and seeing. They're hearing my report every month with Traditionally, always positive numbers, now are virtually negative every month. And the thing that I think really turned our head in the last couple of months, we've been doing a forecast. We do a rolling 5-year forecast into the future. And every time we update that, those numbers get worse. And we are right now projecting a $10 million operating loss for this fiscal year that ends at the end of this month. And the board just approved a budget for next year with a $15 million operating loss. I've never proposed a budget with an operating loss to a board before this pandemic in my 40-year history in healthcare. These are unusual times. The hospital industry is under distress, financial distress right now nationally. William laid out all the statistics. It's national, it's local. We've got our shortfall coming. And the thing that's really concerning in that most recent forecast for our board is that it doesn't get better. We actually built some patient volume increases into the years going forward next year and over the next 5 years, hoping that helps us to start growing out of the hole a little bit. But we can't legitimately say that our reimbursement rates from insurance companies will outpace our inflation rates. We're thinking inflation is here for a while. The contract labor costs are extreme. We think they'll get a little bit slower over the next few years, but they're going to remain extreme. Just to give you a feel for it, in 2019, we had a nursing shortage then. We were managing it adequately. We spent about $7 million on contract nursing. And this year that we're about to close, we're going to spend almost $41 million in a hospital where we can do pretty well if we'll make a 2 to 3% margin on $8 to $10 million positive bottom line. We can replace that facility over the years. We can do really well on just a few percentage points. But you take an additional 30-something million dollars of contract labor cost against that. It swings you from positive to negative really fast. Next year we're projecting will be even worse than 22 because we think those inflationary pressures will still be there. But we're also thinking that the federal government will start pulling back some of the reimbursement supports that we were receiving during the pandemic. For example, the federal match for the state Medicaid program was enhanced. The federal government, we're thinking, is going to pull back that enhanced match as soon as the public health emergency ends. There's a 2% sequestration, federal sequestration on all Medicare payments, and that's half of our business. That's going to cost us about $4.2 million next year because that's going back into place. It was temporarily suspended during the pandemic years. The wage index is kind of unique to us, and each hospital is affected differently on that. That's a $5 million impact next year for our hospital and our Medicare reimbursement. So there is just a number of reimbursement reductions coming, right in the middle of this enormous increase in our cost of operating. So that's the backdrop that the authority board was hearing month in and month out for the last year. And that's the reason I think they believe they were acting prudently and asking to begin receiving the full, 4 mils of tax revenue. Any questions or anything I can help elaborate on?
I have some questions. I'll start off on this.
Okay. Yeah, we'll allow the commission to ask you or counsel questions. Of course, press is here today too. Should we have all the information we need?
I'm a numbers guy, so I'll quickly defer to.
That's
counsel.
right. That's right. That's what I do too. Defer to Commissioner Sheffield.
Yeah, I have a couple of comments, and then I've got a lot of questions. And I know, it's a fait accompli whether this tax is going to be collected by the hospital. But I think it would, we have to ask questions. Sure. And just like your board members ask questions, we have to ask questions. We can't just say, approved just because you made a request. That's not how that works, especially when it comes to property tax. So I'm sure you understand that. And I get completely the headwinds that the healthcare community face. I've got family working healthcare. I hear it just about every day. System, in my opinion, is broken at the federal level. That's not your fault. That's not our fault. That's not this community's fault. That's the federal government's fault. I'm just being quite honest with you. But that's the game that y'all are playing in. Unfortunately, we've got to play in that game. And I get that. And I express those concerns to those thoughts to Chairman Chester Sowell. We've talked a couple times. So I get what you're facing. Nurses, they're going to get paid what they're worth one way or the other, whether they work, as an employee or work as a contract laborer. Fortunately for them, they're seeing that they can make more money as a contract laborer. The federal government is not adjusting reimbursement rates. They're asleep at the wheel. So I'm entirely sympathetic. I don't want you to think that I'm not, but I do have some questions. So the purpose of the additional millage, what is? I know you said you got some headwinds. You have a specific purpose for the millage.
It's just to balance the equation. We have to replace roughly $20 million worth of very expensive medical equipment and refurbish parts of the hospital every year. We can't stop doing that just because our bottom line is not strong. You'll see your facility begin to diminish in capability. I don't think anybody that lives here wants that. I don't. I'm a patient. So we got to have it for our general capital needs, and most of our capital dollars come from our bottom line. We really appreciate the millage. With the 2.5%, 2.5 mils, we're collecting a little over $3 million a year. But we spend $20+ million a year on capital replacement on top of our $450 million operating budget. So we appreciate it, but we got to earn a bottom line, and we need every dollar we can find.
So,
And Brandon, if I may add to that, in addition, we have bond covenants right now on money that the authority has borrowed, and those covenants require that we keep a certain level of cash in our bank so that the hospital can operate for a certain number of days if everything just catastrophically ended. And help me, Derek, what is that number of days?
Right. We, in our bond covenant, we're required to keep 90 days worth of cash on hand, cash and investments on hand. That means that our revenue completely stopped coming in. We could continue to operate for at least 90 days on our savings account. We've currently got probably 160 days, so we've got a pretty comfortable cushion there. But in that 5-year forecast I talked about earlier, if we don't have a course correction or a number of course corrections over the next 5 years, we see that eroding down to maybe as low as 70 days of cash. We'd be in violation of that bond covenant.
I guess my next question is why is this presented to us now? It's approved on Monday, the first dollars January of the following numbers.
I can't fully speak to that. I know the urgency has been the urgency has been increasing as we've gone through this fiscal year. The additional $30-something million of contract labor is a 1-year phenomenon. The really high prices we had to start paying and the high numbers of staff started about a year ago, last August. And we've been hopeful all year that, well, gosh, this is a 2 or 3 month thing that we're going to work through. It's just continued to get worse. And so to my boards, they're trying to act as fast as they can, but not the overreact. So it's a recent phenomenon.
So with ACOM, it generates about $40 million in revenue growth. Somewhere in that neighborhood.
And yes, that's gross tuition revenue. That's not
correct.
net.
Not profit. I got that. So profit, my estimate could be off somewhere between $6 to $10 million. So even with generating a profit off of ACOM, still this issue.
Yeah, we don't cross subsidize between the hospital and ACOM. ACOM's dollars are reinvested, and it's trying to build up its own savings account, for its future needs, and to be able to replace
So
it.
you're not taking money from ACOM, bring it to profit.
Exactly. Each organization is accountable for their own performance.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, so you said you expected to lose about $10 million this year. I did a little bit of research. Are you familiar with this document? Pitch.
Yeah,
ratings?
yes.
So according to this, it was released on Thursday, 2nd of December, just last year. Pitch says that while management expects some margin compression in the near term due to industry headwinds, the stable rating outlook reflects Pitch's expectation that longer term systems margins will return to more historical levels while it continues to benefit from a very strong balance sheet. So things have changed dramatically. I'm taking
They
this
have.
as second.
That Fitch rating was an analysis of our performance through last fiscal year, 2021. I would say that sentiment reflects what I think hospital executives across the country expected this year. We thought by now we would be kind of beyond the pandemic, the big surges that closed down our outpatient departments would be over with. Revenue would be back to normal. All the extra contract labor we needed would have diminished, and everything would start to get, sustainable again by now. And that tone is reflecting in that report from last year. I'm actually dreading the next credit update with Fitch and Standard & Poor's.
Yeah,
And
I'm
it's-
sure. And that gets me to my next point. So the fiscal 2022 budget that y'all approved last year incorporated or estimated a 7% operating EBITDA margin, which included 10 million of additional operating expenses related to expected wage compression. The authority has received approximately 89 million in total stimulus funding, which includes 50 million in advanced Medicare payments and 39 million in other stimulus funding. So you projected a 7% operating margin, but you're going to end up losing.
EBITDA adds back depreciation and interest expenses. So it's a financial calculation, but we're, instead of 7, we're probably around 2% when you add back depreciation. So we're generating a very small positive cash flow, even though we're recording the loss.
So you're recording the loss, say a $10 million loss, that is accounting for depreciation.
Yes. Yeah. And that $10 million that we were expecting in the budget and increased contract labor ended up being a $30+ million increase.
Good. Yeah, I talked to Chester. He said that y'all had a $10 million construction project last year. It cost about $15 million, which doesn't surprise us.
So construction costs are, we all understand that, but construction costs doesn't impact our bottom line. When we build a building or an addition, then that expense gets spread over the 20 or 30 year life of that.
The next couple of questions relates to surgery. Do you make money off of orthopedic surgery?
What was the question, sir?
Could you mumble a little louder?
Yeah, I'll try to a little louder. You make money off of orthopedic surgery.
Is that related to this question I handed?
Well, I have been told that you do not. So if you do not, that would be very concerning.
There are some things that we do for the community that may cover their direct cost. That patient comes into the hospital, what's the cost of that nurse that took care of me, what the drug I took. We may make a small positive direct margin. When you include that patient share of the building cost, utility bills, all the overhead, it turns into a loss.
Yeah. So the same would be for
Some of
neurosurgery.
the orthopedic work that we do is in that category.
Yeah. Are you saying neurosurgery, ENT surgery would also make money on this?
Not every case.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just, in my talking to folks, I was told that y'all lose money on orthopedic surgery. That's what I asked. Obviously, that'd be concerning.
Yeah, orthopedic
One of the
surgery-
hospitals ever that loses money on surgery.
Surgery is not our most profitable things that we do. We take care of very complicated medical cases real well.
Yeah, and I get
They're
that
not
some
easy.
surgeries don't get reimbursement for it all. It doesn't, patient doesn't have health care or health insurance. You have about $29 million in COVID funding, so assuming that is in your budget projections for that's going to give you a cushion
Those are the dollars we've already, that gave us cushion in the last 2 years,
Okay. So you've already
2020
spent
and 21.
that. That is all questions.
Thank you. Anybody, any other comments or questions?
Yes, sir. I do, Chair.
All right, good.
I can see you squirming in the chair.
I am. I really don't see the relevance. but go
Yeah.
ahead.
Absolutely. Mr. Miller, I want to tell you first and foremost that to the community, a lot of people, you're well respected in what you do. And I believe you do a great job from what I hear from other people out there. So I want to tell you, I commend you on what you do for Southeast Health
Thank you.
and the work that you do. So, and my new appointment, Mr. Hicks, speaks very highly. So he said, so that is great. That's great to hear.
Thank
But I
you.
wanted to tell you that. So a few questions that I have is, number one, there are, and this is for the community, for the public to understand, because they're gonna be the ones paying the 1.5 mil property tax, extra. And, there's a lot of questions that they have. And some of the things that I hear is, y'all are 501c3, you're a nonprofit organization. Buy properties throughout the county. There's around $84 million, I'd say, worth of property that y'all have, that you own. With that property, the reason of buying the property, I understand for 501c3, sometimes that's the only thing you can do to turn around and be able to pay back, or be able to use that money for maybe, I say, indigent care. I understand that y'all might have every day 50 patients that don't have money to pay for their care. You can't turn them away. By law,
That is absolutely true.
so by law, you can't turn, so somebody, that has to be paid for, y'all can't continue to operate that way. My understanding is y'all have a loss of maybe around $9 million a year of indigent care where people don't pay for those things. So that's hard to overcome. I get that all day long. So question is the properties that y'all own throughout the county and so forth, what is the plan for those properties? Y'all plan on developing those at some point? Because I do know there's several that have been owned for many years and they've been there and been sitting there. There's lots sitting there. Is that what the goal is to eventually get these all developed over time, to be able to have some residual income, to be able to offset some of these costs? Is that what, and that's just questions I'm getting from the public, questions I'm asking.
If I may.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
And Derek can talk more about it too, but as a healthcare authority, the law prohibits us from investing in the market. And so we can't do like Flowers Hospital, for example, and invest in equities that at least historically have had a very good return on investment. Because of that limitation, we invest as a hospital where we can, and that includes real estate. And Derek and the hospital board have done a great job of directing the investment of our dollars where we can and where we can make money so that we can take care of patients. And that would be my understanding there.
Right. I think it's both. You laid out the reasons really well, but it's all of those. It's the investment opportunity that William speaks of, helping us shore up those long-term financial needs in any and every way we can. That's legal and appropriate. But also it's making sure we got some land to grow healthcare. As the needs of the community increase, there's going to be new and better, more healthcare facilities required. And so part of the land that we hold is to make sure we've got places to grow new healthcare facilities. Okay. So it's long-term investment and it's providing the need for the needs of the community.
All right. That's all I have for you guys. Chris, I've got a question for Chris.
Yeah, I really, yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Don't touch the mic.
Question I have is I know you and I talk on the phone, and so I understand the law. The law says we have to vote in favor. That's by the Supreme Court, opinions by the Supreme Court as well as the law. Okay, that's what the law states. And this is under Amendment 76 and Amendment 72. However, the question that I have is this: because of an Attorney General's opinion back in 1976, it is saying and this is by Attorney General Baxley, it says that the commission has the right to regulate the millage, no more than 4 mills, no less than 0. Right? We're given 2.5 mills now, or the taxpayers given 2.5 mil now. So with the law saying that we have to vote in favor, Now, 1980, I understand that the board at that time, which is not the same board that we have now, okay, they gave the millage back and gave the 3 mills back and said, hey, we don't need it right now. We are self-sustained. We are doing well. However, they come back in 2011 and ask for 1.5 and we do a resolution. Now, with the law, the way the law is, it says we're to pay the 4 mills. But we gave it back. All right, we gave 3 mills back, or I say we, the hospital, gave 3 mills back. So those 3 mills being given back, and now we're back to the drawing board again, because in 1949, whenever the citizens voted for it to be 4 mills, that's what, to me, that's what it should have stayed, was 4 mills, because that's what the law said, and that's what was voted on by the citizens of this county in 1949. But now we have a Attorney General's opinion that says the commission can regulate that. What I'd like to do before we, and not saying that we're not going to, but the Attorney General is the highest law in the state of Alabama. I'd love to have a formal opinion from the Attorney General or the commission, if the commission agrees to it, it's my understanding they have to agree to it, that says that we have to vote in favor for the 4 mill tax total. And then we have something from the Attorney General say this is what you have to do. Because there's a few things that are confusing to the general public, as well as me when I look at this. It's a little confusing, and I think that we need Attorney General's opinion to solidify this, and let's move forward and get the hospital what they need. So my question is, can you answer my question, and is there a way that we can get Attorney, you think we have a problem with Attorney General's opinion, and you write it, get the commission to do it?
If the commission would like an Attorney General's opinion, the process would be for the vote of the commission to approve a resolution to request an Attorney General's opinion, that we would prepare it, submit it to the Attorney General's office. They don't answer questions of fact, they answer questions of law, and they don't answer any pending case or controversy. So this would be something that you could get an opinion on. Obviously, if you would like that, those things can be done. The Attorney General's office is required to issue those things. And is there any further questions in regards to the other things that you mentioned?
No, the other thing is just, and I know you have your opinion, and you already told me what your opinion is that we are, we have no choice but to vote in favor of this, and to move forward with it. But again, like I said, I'd love to have the Attorney General's opinion, which is public, and then to say that we have to move forward and we have to vote in favor of this.
Mr. Herring, may I?
Yes, sir.
I guess I would respectfully disagree that the Attorney General's opinion is the highest authority in the state. That would be the Alabama Supreme Court. And they have said multiple times that this is mandatory, not discretionary. So I just wanted to add that. I don't think an Attorney General's opinion is appropriate or necessary. Citizens of this county voted for this 70 years ago. The Supreme Court has said you must pay it. You said you must pay it 10 years ago when we came before you. And we need the money, and I think we've laid out whether you can or can't in your discretion. We've laid out a case today that says you should. And with that, I don't have anything else, and I appreciate it unless you have questions.
I just got a comment to that. All right. And I respect your opinion,
Yes, sir.
but the Supreme Court, you're exactly right. They are the highest. But the Supreme Court has also told me that they don't give an opinion on this. I mean, the Attorney General's opinion.
I've got an opinion.
All right,
and it's
so we're
right
not
here.
getting into it.
Yeah.
All right, any other comments? Mr. Single?
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay right there. We may have-
Okay, all right, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Forgive me.
Thank you, John. For us and explaining, answering all the questions that we have, I appreciate it there. Attorney, I see there seems to be 2 P's here concerning pandemic and politics. It started in 2021. But my concern here is we're the hub of healthcare. Progress area. We have 2 great hospitals, a lot of great clinics that y'all have provided for citizens in this county. I think that you made the comment, sir, that we can't invest in anything that's risky, so land is not that risky. Land does benefit profit, and it also benefits for the future of healthcare and hospitals and clinics to be built. And that's a vision of long-range vision that you're seeing and doing for us in Houston County. Healthcare, we danced around this thing, but healthcare and people being in the hospitals and doctors, we're seeing a growth in Houston County and in the Wiregrass area. We're the hub of healthcare for all these other counties. And if the Attorney General was here in Houston County and he had a wreck and he was in the hospital next year, and you went and said, sir, we don't have any nurses, I think he would be concerned. That's what we got to look at, is long-term health care for the county as we're growing and y'all providing the means for health care. A lot of senior adults, a lot of senior citizens in our area, they need that. I can't imagine, and Southeast Health is doing a lot of the things now currently that couldn't be done years ago, that everybody had to go to UAB. So there's so many things just benefiting us here. If you didn't need that 1.5, you wouldn't be here asking for it, and I can see
That's
the need for it.
Yes, sir. And I think we've got a proven track record of not asking for this money when we don't need it. We need it now, and we're counting on your leadership to help us right now.
Exactly. So I think you answered the question. What impact would this be if this 1.5 deal was not approved?
You talking about money wise? Well, I would say there's a few things. One, you've heard the numbers, how much we're projected to lose, millions of dollars, which puts at risk our bond covenant. And also puts at risk our ability to get bonds in the future to help finance the operation of our hospital. Because the bond rating companies look for whether we get our millage that the county has promised us and that the Constitution says we get. And that puts at risk all of those things if we don't get the millage we've requested. That's irrespective of where we sit right now financially and where we expect to be, according to Derek, in the near future.
Well, that's my question and the comments that I had. So I have anything and appreciate Southeast Health and what y'all do and providing health care.
We thank all of you, John. Thank you.
Or you got any comments? I guess in my tenure here, having complete confidence in our own legal counsel here in the county, I would like to hear from Chris. Just give us your take on everything that's going on and let's fiddle through this initiative. Tell us what you advise us at this point, so that the community can be full aware and everyone.
My position, based on the research that I've done, is that this is a mandatory function that the commission needs to approve. The law mandates the millage to be done according to what was passed in the election back in 1939, which is 4 mills. The fact that it was temporarily driven down at request from the healthcare authority should not have a bearing on if they say they need it and they clearly laid out the need, especially with the need attached to bond indebtedness, that the millage rate needs to be brought back up to the 4 mills as they request. That is my understanding of the law.
Thanks. All right, let's wrap this up. A couple of comments based on everything y'all have said. First of all, I do want to say to you all, I do wish you had given us a little more notice. Just to receive a letter like, please pass this. I wish you had let your folks know, a month or so ago or something, we were coming to this, because this letter was delivered to my office, I think last week, maybe the week before last. Something of this magnitude, that's a little bit of a short notice, and talking to my commissioner, or my fellow commissioners, I don't think any of them were approached by their board members, but maybe we can do a better job of communicating. Having said that, I think a lot of this conversation we've had is interesting and good, and
I see your hand, George, put it down. It's interesting and good, and the information is good, but frankly, just respectfully, I disagree with what Commissioner Shoup said, that we can't just approve. We don't have any choice. If y'all were making $100 million a year, it came to this request, we don't have a choice but to approve it. You know, I appreciate everything you all do. I appreciate the tax break you've given us for the last 40 years. You know, we don't look at it that way. You've given the citizens of this county a tax break for the last 40 years. We don't realize that sometimes. They're the largest employer in our community. You know, we should appreciate that. I think that you're a tremendous partner with Houston County and the things we do. We all recognize that. We've said that many times up here. So, you know, I want to ensure there's some positive respect for you and the things you do and the services you provide, and particularly the employees that you have that have sacrificed so much during the last 2 years. They have. But if we don't approve this, you just appeal it and you get it anyway. I mean, because that's what the law said. We have no choice. It's my job as chairman or any chairman of a commission. It should be their job to direct and direct a commission in a proper and legal manner. Regardless of all this time we've spent, we have no choice in doing this. The Supreme Court has said so. So, you know, you've requested, it's the law. We need to put it on the agenda and approve it. It's not we're not approving a tax increase. I want the citizens to understand we are not approving a tax increase. You all voted on this 40 years ago to put this on the book. It's just being reinstated. We have no choice. It's the law. And we need to move forward. So with that, I would ask if anyone has any objection to putting this on the agenda for Monday. No objection. Okay. We'll put it on the agenda. If you want to make a comment, Mr. Trotter?
Yes, I would, but I would like to have made the comment. I'd like for these gentlemen to hear what I've got to say, if you don't mind.
They'll hear you.
Okay, they're not leaving. Okay, good. My name is George Trotter. I reside at 4218 County Road 203, Dothan, Alabama 36301. I'm a citizen in Houston County for 27 years. I'm 75 years of age. I moved here with an opportunity with a company that I worked for back in 1994, had worked for 18 years prior to that, BASF Corporation. I moved to Dothan, Alabama for 2 reasons, or Houston County, let's say Houston County, Alabama, for 2 reasons. Main reason, I have a 7th grader that I wanted in good quality education, and Rehoboth, the county school system, offered that. Number 2 was the hospital, Southeast Medical, and you see those gentlemen leave? Did they? I'm sorry, somebody left that don't want to hear what I've got to say. But here's my point. I've been here for 27 years, and I moved here primarily for these hospitals, the medical care that was offered here. I could have lived anywhere in Southeast Alabama, Southwest Georgia, or North Florida. The company gave me an enormous moving package, but I chose here again for these hospitals. I have seen our medical care go like this in the 27 years. And I'm in every corner of this county. Like y'all all know, I am behind 8 grandchildren. And other reasons, I've retired. We the People, an initiative I started in November, this coming November, be going into my 5th year, to inform and listen and talk to people. And I want to commend these folks for coming here and being transparent with us. This is the first transparent, true transparent major issue that I've experienced in going in on 5 years in this Houston County Commission. And I appreciate these guys coming. I know we're not, but here's my question, Mr. Chairman, to you and this commission. What are we even having this conversation for? Why didn't we put it in the media out here that, hey, by the way, we're going to be looking at another millage to pay the hospitals. Okay, and just go on. You said it 3 or 4 times in closing. It's a done deal. I don't think the public out here knows it. And you know why? And I'm hoping, Mr. Chairman, and I'll sit down, and I'm hoping I will have an opportunity to come back up with the privilege of the floor to address an issue that you know, and y'all know that I requested to address about our media. So I just wanted to express to these folks here and other entities here. Now I do have a couple of questions, if you could get them to maybe answer these, or maybe y'all can answer these. Do we have any private medical hospital institutions in Houston County?
Flowers is private hospital.
Flowers is private hospital. But they're on the same board, or the same board affects them as it does Southeast Medical? Is that, that's totally different. So we're really just talking about Southeast Medical Center, not all the two hospitals in Houston County, correct?
Talking about with this Millie,
Yes, sir.
just Southeast Health.
Just Southeast Health.
Healthcare Authority.
And Flowers, are they, well, I wonder what their financial status is relative to Southeast Medical. My question to these guys, and maybe y'all can get them to answer this. And I've been here going on 5 years asking questions and hearing about budgets and hearing about hiring more people and expenses, and we're over every time. Except I want to ask these guys, I didn't hear them say anything about cutting. And is it possible that management of Southeast Medical, maybe the management of it might be a problem with them being $10 million in the red for this fiscal year? I guess that's what I understood. On a $470 million budget, I believe it said.
All right, thank you.
So,
Your time's up.
so would you ask my question?
No, I don't have to. I know they've cut many positions and much cost out there over the past year, but had to. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else? All right, next item on the agenda is a request to adopt resolution to conditionally allocate ARPA funds in the amount of $1 million to the city of Dothan for an investment in downtown green space project subject to conditions necessary to facilitate an ARPA subaward, and delegating authority to the chairman to negotiate and execute a subrecipient agreement consistent with that resolution. No, I didn't write that. As you know, we have these ARPA funds. We're trying to get not spent, but committed and put forth and whatnot. We all are aware of the huge and extremely positive project the city is moving forward with. They have, I think they voted like 2 meetings ago to acquire the design architect for the downtown. We are assisting them with the green space, if you will, between the new facility and Foster. This is where this is going. They have come up with all their paperwork that we needed. This vote will allow us to move forward with everything we need. Mr. Shue, you will probably end up signing this paperwork once it gets back to us, but that's why it says chairman, not Chairman Cole. This is the document, the 10-year package, and hopefully in the next meeting we will have another project for you to vote on. Any questions regarding this? Any objections to adding that to the agenda? All right, yes, sir.
Chairman, Commissioners, speaking on behalf of a lot of people, not everybody, but people across Houston County. They're not aware of what you're proposing here. They won't be aware probably even after today. Hopefully there will be if the news gets out. But we're spending another $1 million of Houston County taxpayer money downtown Dothan. I love Dothan. Everybody in this county loves Dothan, but guess what? We love the county too. And we're tired out across this county, every community. I see every week, several times a week, of over 1,000, 1,500 kids in our recreational program across this county. their parents are suffering with this economy and all. They're suffering, paying the fees for these kids to be able to have uniforms and to be able to be out participating in sports, softball, baseball, soccer, basketball, football, whatever. I don't know how many we have in the football program right now, but it fills that stadium up at Rehoboth, I can tell you, every Saturday. And I'm sure Ashford, Wicksburg, and all the other areas do the same. But it is a shame. It is a shame. And if you poll the people across this county, they will tell you, the majority of them will tell you that no, we don't need to be spending more money downtown Dothan coming out of the Houston County Commission budget. It needs to come out of the millions of dollars of surplus that the city of Dothan has in sales tax that we have to come in and buy our high ticket items, right? Like automobiles, like furniture, building supplies, all this stuff. And we're paying our sales tax here. Why don't we just refrain and say, look, we'd love to help y'all, but we got so many things going on out here in the county that we don't have budget money for. You know, if you get in dire straits, let us know. But this is, to me, sounds like more or less a luxury. So thank you.
All right, appreciate that. I will tell you that it's over $8 million outside of the city limits of Dothan. And I would also remind you that the city of Dothan is in the county. Any objection to adding that to the agenda? Item number 8, request to approve resolution authorizing public hearing to address amendments to subdivision regulations. This resolution, this public hearing rather, would be on October 24th before the regular commission meeting. Would have the amendment to the subdivision regulations on that October 24th meeting. I think the public hearing would be at 9:30, just give us plenty of time before the questions about that, or any comments about that, or press. Any objections to adding that to, or Tyler? You look like you want to get up and say something. Any objections to adding that to the agenda? All right, item number 9, request from the city of Ashford out in the county to perform site work for a new volunteer fire station. Any objection to add that to the agenda? All right. Anything else from the commission to be considered for the agenda? I do have one privilege of the floor that I'll ask about in a minute. The privilege of the floor made available to our citizens to make comments to the commission regarding issues related to the county. It is not a time for debate, questions, or discussion, but any items presented will be taken under consideration by the commission for future action if necessary. Each speaker will have 5 minutes. We have a request from Mr. Trotter to talk about local news media and its importance in informing our citizens of factual information relative to our local government. Explain to me before you start talking how that is a county issue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd appreciate it if you will not censor my freedom of speech as I say, because I'm gonna say
freedom of speech.
yes, sir. I'm
No, sir.
gonna answer your question. I want to answer your question, but you're not gonna like what I'm gonna say.
Okay, well, if I don't, then I won't let you speak.
Well, that's censoring speech. That's a federal offense. My
Not in this
constitutional right.
division meeting, it's not.
Okay, all right, you heard that. It's on the recorder. Okay, now here's my point. I cannot believe that any of y'all, in particular you, the leader, the chairman of our commission, can't see the importance of what my request is. And that is, we try yourself going across the county and ask people about the media, about their information they receive from our paper and our 2 TV stations. And we have 1 or 2 radio stations that do some news and all, to inform them. And our Constitution, by the way, the freedom of press, y'all, are y'all familiar with that? Constitutional right, one of the First Amendment right, freedom of press. You know what that really means? It don't just mean it gives everybody all of freedom to go out and print do the press and it's journalism, and the responsibility of our forefathers who wrote our Constitution intended for it to, for the media, for the press, all synonymous, to inform the public of what's going on with our government. It's of the people, by the people, for the people. Okay? Now, I had really prepared a page and a half 2 months ago. And I said, I'm no, George, you're not gonna get up and read that. Just get up and try to have a little dialogue with the commission on this. I've been coming here, like I said, close to 5 years now, going into the 5th year. We're just not getting the information. Now, up to 2 years ago, and it went off like kind of like a light switch. Up to 2 years ago, after the meeting, our chairman, he would walk out here, the press would walk up, one of the TV stations or the paper or both would walk up and ask a few questions. I haven't seen very little, if any of that, in the last 2 years compared to what it was prior to that. It's like went off like a light switch. And I have people ask me out in the county, ask, wow, what's the deal? Well, no, I stopped taking the paper. And nothing in it. No, I don't watch TV and no local news anymore. No news, unless it's a crash, a wreck, or somebody gets shot, killed, murdered downtown or whatever. But what I want to do, I want to be I wrote myself a note right across this page here. Be positive, constructive, truthful. That's what I'm trying to be. So what I want to do is ask you all as commissioners and as an entity of our government, the main one in our county, please make yourself available. Go to the press. Don't wait for them to come to you. Go to them and explain what you're talking about. And please quit using these acronyms, abbreviations for stuff that the citizens out here have no earthly idea. I know I don't. I ask them, they don't. So please, when you have something like that, spell it out, okay? And by the way, I'll leave you with this last thought. Yes, who you work for. You were elected. We got a new commission coming in January the 1st. I guess it's effective the 1st. And I'm thinking the people out here are looking for big positive changes in Houston County, the direction of Houston County. Thank you.
We stand adjourned. Thank y'all.
Hey, George, got me.
Sorry? Oh, yeah. Ricky, I meant to give you credit for the only media that we really have out here.